Alex Job with Job's Nursery here, and today I wanted to share with you some of the thought process I go through when I begin to prune shrubs, because once the snow all melts, it's time to get pruning, whether it be roses or other shrubs that just need to be kept in a little bit. So the first thing I like to do is identify what it is, because that tells us how and what we can do to prune it. For example, a magnolia we don't prune right now because you cut off all the flower buds. Roses, that's a different story, and they can be hacked down all the way to the ground if need be. So once you know what it is that you're pruning, that is the critical part. Number two is, why are we pruning it? Does it need to be reshaped? Does it need to be resized? Does it need kind of a little bit of an overhaul, getting rid of dead, diseased woods, things like that? And that way we can go ahead and get the plant cleaned up and looking a lot better for the growing season. So once I figured out what it is and why I'm doing it, then I start looking in this order on the plant. First, we look at, is there anything dead on it? Now, broken or brittle branches, darker colored than what the rest of the plant is usually a good indicator that's dead tissue. But if you're unsure, your fingernail is a wonderful tool, and you just kind of give it a little bit of a scratch. Scrape off the bark just a little bit. You don't need to go no more than like a 1/4 inch on it. And if it is green and moist under there, or on some species it can be a little bit of an orangey red, as long as that is moist and soft and looking lively, that's not dead. If you scratch it and it's just brown and you keep scratching it, it's more brown, it's dry, the wood around it is kind of withered and shriveled, that's dead tissue, and that needs to come out. Now, a lot of people wonder, is there a special time of year to remove dead tissue out of a plant? Actually, there's not. Any time that it's detected, you're golden. Get it out of there, and that way your decomposers don't start coming in and eating and feasting and then going into the living tissue and damaging the plant. The next thing is I look for diseased wood. Diseased wood can be cankers, which are kind of discolored round spots on the branch. They can be soft or sunken in. They could be kind of this weird little gouge in it. Those all need to kind of be identified as well as treated. A lot of times it's just cutting them out. Other times it's best to get a chemical spray on it, like a copper fungicide or something like that. Again, you got to identify what the disease is and get that going. So once that is corrected, then we start looking for damaged stuff. So stuff that's broken or cracked, twisted, and it shouldn't be twisted. Split would be another one in a shrub. So you want to get all of that removed. And then from there, anything that's crossing branches lead to a rub point, which can eventually become damaged. So from there you want to get out crossing. Now I usually select the weaker of the two branches that are crossing, or the least damaged of the two. Then number 5 is the congested growth. Is it just seeming to be this rat's nest of branches just coming out all over here? If that's the case, then slowly kind of go through there and thin it out. And that way, it's a more balanced growth. Now, through these steps, another thing that I'd like to mention is take a step back from the plant when you're pruning and actually look at it and make sure, am I not taking off too much from one side, or is it looking a little weird? And then you can kind of adjust from there. The next one, and the final one, is it too big for the space? So if we have like a 4 foot by 4 foot area, are we 6 feet by 6 feet? That might be a little big, and we need to start working it down. So when we're working it down, we want to not make sure that we're pruning off more than 1/3 of the living tissue, so that way we can, have a healthy plant. You cut too much off on certain species and it's a no-go, they're dead. Whereas other ones, but you get more unrestricted or unregulated growth as they try to compensate. They feel that, oh, I lost a limb of a significant portion, that we need to get that all cleaned up. And so they'll just do this massive spurt growth, and then you're just like dealing with even more of a mess. So don't go removing more than a third at a time. If it's like really big and it's in a tiny spot, you might consider removing it. The other one is to plan on doing it in phases. So, okay, 2021, we reduce it down this much. 2022, we remove this much down. And then we slowly work it down. If you're unsure of any of these steps, feel free to go to one of your favorite garden centers. You know, if you're in the Pasco area, Job's Nursery is a good one. Take pictures, things like that, bring it to them, and then go, how would you prune this? Or, you know, approach it. Or the simple question is, do you know what this is? And if that's the case, take pictures of it so that way you can kind of see, like roses actually retain foliage, but you can see kind of the stems up close, buds, wood, and overall shaping of the plant. That would give us clues to what it is. And also if you could remember some key details like, does it flower, what time of the year does it flower, and what was the fall color like. So, that all being said, that's Alex's thought process to pruning. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again.